Hello YouTube. I know it's been a while since I actually uploaded, and I don't choose to hide that for a while. I think with me, when it comes to videos like this, it takes me a while to process them. But I think I figured it out now. Today I'm going to be talking about the cycle of abuse, in Steven Universe terms.
Gem is made, it's for a reason. They burst out of the ground already knowing what they're supposed to be, and then that's what they are. Forever. But you're supposed to change. You're never the same, even moment to moment. You're allowed and expected to invent who you are. What an incredible power. The ability to grow up.
You can see, I have this really weird glow on my face. Not because I just wanted to add more lighting, but mainly because I actually searched up the definition of abuse. Abuse refers to any improper, cruel, or violent treatment of someone or misuse of something in a way that causes harm. In a way, you suffer in every possible way when it comes to abuse. There's limits to this, and sometimes the different ranges of categories. Some that we cannot control, some that are not in our favor. We wish to prevent it, but we can't. We simply can't. And I think the beauty between Steven Universe is how it handles abuse in a certain way. Steven, as a young boy, is holding responsibilities of his own mother's actions. Because of her misunderstanding of how to escape her sense of abuse, repeating the cycle of absolute misery and leading out upon her son. She was meant to be the generation that was to break that suicide abuse. And because of her misunderstandings, she became even more crueler, worse than the ones that she was oppressed by, which is her guardians. And it's the funny bit. Parental figures can also be a massive impact on the suicide personality that you develop when it comes to abuse. She herself went through a sense of abuse. But the irony of that is that she repeated the cycle. As much as she was trying to cancel it, she repeated the cycle with not just only her son, but with a bunch of people. But all that really did was cause a massive bounty on her son's head because of the gem. Everybody's recognized by the gem and that appearance of the suicide abuser. But never think, this kid is separate from the suicide person that he was raised by, because of that element of abuse that he's trying to get out of. And as he grew up, he learned to really not appreciate his mom in a way where it's like, she's been wholesome, she is this perfect thing, because in reality she's not. Like everybody else, everybody's flawed. I think the beauty of this is that you as a person can grow to be better than the suicide thing that you could have been. I think every element shows that every person on this earth has their own personality and their own persona. And they could go about it in several ways. One way where they could damage themselves, or one, they could truly accept the fact that there's things that need to be healed. And yeah, Steven, even in the future, he ends up having to sort of fix himself within, not from the outside, because he hasn't fully recovered from the suicide event, and he fully hasn't accepted the suicide events from the past. Yeah, he fixed everything, but did he heal from it? No, because then again, that abuse was there, even if she wasn't even there physically. But what could have been there physically is also the element of choice. Was Rose willing to make that stand and go back for her son and make the effort? No, she wasn't. Because she was trying to accomplish this dream which was false. And even gave all that responsibility to the poor kid when she was gone. Yeah, nothing he could have done. It's safe to say that we don't only just see this in Steven Universe, but we also see this in Jax's character from the Amazing Digital Circus. I think what's interesting about these suicide characters is that they share a certain element, which is parental abuse. This parental abuse goes to different levels. The sense of control. With Steven's case, it's not really like that. His mom was controlling, but not in the sense that she was willing to control him, but control the sense of her destiny. Try controlling everybody else around her. And then, placed the kid on this earth to resemble her face, resemble her reputation. And everybody only knew Steven for the sake of his gem. His mother. His mother made all those mistakes and left it to him. Whereas for Jax's case, it's an emotional scarring. Not gonna lie. I think the reason why I mentioned Steven Universe is mainly because it has been always the right answer, and that is the main topic of the suicide video. I used the Jax example as the wrong answer because the way that Jax looks at it, she ends up messing up. She still messes up. She doesn't understand the concept of love and then destroys herself entirely over it, when it could have been easily resolved. And yeah, it's a tricky thing to recover from, but there's always the right answer. As for Stephen, he chose to do the right thing. He chose to do the right thing and sort of fix it. Separate himself from the suicide problem, which was rose quartz, his own mother. And overall, with that self-identity and, sort of establishing his own ground and his separation from his suicide mother was one of the most important things of the suicide character, because overall, without that, he wouldn't have just expressed and been Stephen. Nobody would have realized the difference between rose quartz and Stephen universe. And I think it's really important because with me, I've grown to understand that message so beautifully, thanks to the show. And I love it because how I feel like, in a way, people always, when they know me, they know my mom. And to hear about my mom's stuff, it's not the nicest thing. Like, it's generally not the nicest, because she's not perfect. And she's not the nicest, so I choose not to really be on her side on anything. But it's nice to know that there's people who acknowledge me for being completely different, separated from her. There's people who might not know that and think I'm an issue too, but once they get to know me, they realize I'm different. But it's also a choice for them to get to know me, and I don't force it. And I think self-identity is one of the few things that you gotta sort of establish for yourself. When you're different, acknowledge it. Allow yourself to be different, because the world needs to know who you are. And I think with the message of the suicide show is really beautiful. Overall, it could go down to many lengths. There's different messages too in every episode, and I think that show teaches you a lot about how to handle that. Yeah, you could say it's corny, but I say it's not. But overall, YouTube, thank you for watching this video. Now, I know I've been working on some stuff, and I'm currently editing this gameplay footage of this amazing digital circus dating sim. I know it's quite weird, but I think you guys might like it. It's a little bit different from the suicide videos that I'm producing as of right now when it comes to mentality stuff. But yeah, hopefully you guys will support that. Might find it funny, or maybe might find it corny, or might find it therapeutic. I don't know what type of person you might be to find it therapeutic, but stay tuned for that. I'll see you guys in the next one. And if you haven't liked and subscribed already, feel free to do that. But it's entirely up to you. You don't have to do it. So yeah, see you.